Has she ever tried to pull you back in, a casual text, a nostalgic memory, a hint of regret? And did you, for a fleeting moment, feel that familiar tug, that old desire to respond? What if I told you that the moment you truly liberate yourself from her emotional orbit, she will sense it, not just in your silence, but in the very air you breathe? What if your peace becomes her undoing? There's a chasm of difference between the calculated silence you deploy to make her miss you and the profound, unshakable stillness that settles over you when you finally discover your own inner peace. Initially, your silence was a desperate plea, a fragile hope. You longed for her to notice your absence, to feel the void you left behind, to come rushing back. But then, an insidious, transformative shift began to occur. You ceased to be a prisoner to her text messages, no longer replaying phantom memories, no longer seeking validation for your worth through her fleeting responses. And in that pivotal moment, your silence underwent a radical metamorphosis. It shed its obsessive focus on her and became, unequivocally, about you. This is the seismic shift she never saw coming, because the instant your silence transmutes into genuine self-possessed peace, that is precisely when she feels its earth-shattering impact. Let's dissect, in brutal honesty, what truly unfolds when she realizes your silence is no longer an elaborate performance for her benefit. First, she feels the tectonic plates of your energy shift, immediately. She always could, even before a single word left your lips. In the beginning, your silence hummed with a desperate emotional current. You might have withheld the text, but your mind was still a chaotic storm centered on her. You scrolled through old photos, tethered by an invisible, unbreakable string of longing. She could feel that desperate pull, that agonizing tension, the unspoken, fervent hope that, just maybe, she'd return. And that, paradoxically, made her comfortable. She knew, deep down, that your silence still revolved around her, affirming her power. But then, the alchemy of detachment took hold. You stopped waiting. You stopped obsessively checking. You stopped resurrecting the ghosts of the past. Your silence transformed. It was no longer a heavy, suffocating blanket of pain. It became light, airy, imbued with an unshakable calm. And she felt it. That invisible emotional cord, once a lifeline tethering you to her, simply dissolved. The air between you felt different, serene, not agonizing. Because now, your silence doesn't desperately whisper, "Please miss me." It powerfully declares, "I am free." And when she experiences that unflappable energy, that profound tranquility she cannot manipulate or control, that's when the undeniable truth slams into her. You didn't go silent to lure her back. You went silent because you finally outgrew the need for her to validate your intrinsic worth. Second, her fragile ego begins to hemorrhage, not her heart. When your silence was a weapon aimed at her, it fed her ego like a feast. She felt desired, utterly in control, perpetually validated. But when your silence no longer bows at her altar, it throws her ego into a dizzying tailspin. She begins to unravel, whispering to herself, "Did he truly stop caring? Has he genuinely moved on? Was I never as indispensable as I believed?" This agonizing uncertainty gnaws at her, because she once drew immense power from your unwavering attention, your eager responses, your endless availability, your easily provoked emotions. Now, she receives none of it, just an unyielding peace, just an absolute indifference. And for a woman who once luxuriated in your admiration, indifference is a cruel, unforgiving mirror, one that reflects the brutal truth she desperately tries to avoid. She no longer holds the same intoxicating power over you. Third, she can't resist prodding the silence, testing its resolve. When a man genuinely detaches, truly unplugs from her gravitational pull, a woman's curiosity becomes an unbearable itch. She cannot resist the urge to test the boundaries of this new, unsettling stillness. She might send a seemingly casual text, strategically post something suggestive on social media, or subtly mention you in a conversation, not out of rekindled love, but out of a desperate need to know. She wants to ascertain if this profound silence still secretly belongs to her. But when your response is a deafening void, when you don't even flinch, when your composure remains unyielding, that's when the chilling realization washes over her. This silence is not a manipulative act. You are not deliberately ignoring her to elicit a reaction. You are simply, utterly uninterested in her chaos. Your silence has become an impenetrable shield, a fortress of It is no longer the mere absence of words. It is the powerful, undeniable presence of unshakable boundaries. And that's when she begins to feel something she never anticipated, profound respect. Because silence, when stripped of resentment and bitterness, is the most thunderous declaration of inner strength a man can make. Fourth, your silence mercilessly exposes the deafening noise of her own world. In the wake of a breakup or a period of distance, most women plunge headfirst into a whirlwind of distractions, a relentless pursuit of external attention and superficial validation. It's their desperate attempt to fill the gaping void you left behind. But your profound silence acts as a stark, unforgiving contrast. It forces her to confront the deafening cacophony of her own existence, a world brimming with fleeting excitements, but utterly devoid of true depth, genuine connection, or inner peace. While she frantically chases fleeting attention, you are serenely embracing a profound stillness. While she desperately strives to feel wanted, you are diligently learning to be whole. That stark juxtaposition hits her with the force of a tidal wave, because your silence is no longer an empty space. It is a resonant presence. She sees, with chilling clarity, that you are not silent because you are bitter or broken. You are silent because you have transcended, you have evolved beyond the desperate need for her chaos to feel alive. And that raw realization burns deeper, far deeper, than any anger she could ever conjure. Fifth, she starts to painstakingly recall the man you genuinely were, the man she carelessly discarded. When she initially pulled away, she likely fixated on your perceived flaws, magnifying every imperfection. It was her psychological crutch, her way of justifying her departure. She convinced herself you were too emotional, too serious, too demanding, simply too much. But as the relentless march of time progresses, your profound silence compels her to introspect, to reflect with a clarity she once resisted. Because now, you are no longer desperately trying to prove your worth, you are simply, effortlessly living it. And in that profound stillness, she begins to unearth forgotten memories. The unwavering way you listened, the stoic patience you consistently offered, the profound sense of peace you effortlessly brought into her life. She begins to realize, with dawning regret, that you weren't controlling, you were steadfastly consistent. You weren't boring, you were a pillar of unshakable stability. You weren't too much, you were everything she wasn't emotionally prepared to receive. And now, as your silence thunders louder than her frantic noise, the corrosive whisper of regret begins to echo in her mind. 6. The liberating epiphany. This profound silence was never, ever for her. At a certain point, the illuminating truth dawns on you too. The silence you once wielded as a clumsy weapon has, by some divine irony, transformed into a potent medicine. You stop compulsively checking her social media, you cease analyzing her every interaction, you simply let go. You begin to savor the quiet, the kind that doesn't gnaw at your soul but profoundly heals it. Because now, your silence is not about creating distance as a tactic. It is about safeguarding your hard-won peace. It is not a strategic maneuver. It is an undeniable, powerful transformation. You no longer require her to validate your monumental growth. You are far too engrossed in the breathtaking process of living it. That's the moment you truly become untouchable. Because a man who can comfortably inhabit his own silence, utterly devoid of the desperate need for closure from another, is a man who has, unequivocally, mastered himself. 7th, the devastating blow. She finally realizes she can no longer reach you, not through manipulative guilt trips, not through carefully curated nostalgia, not through any of her tired, transparent games. You have become emotionally invisible to her, not out of hatred or vindictiveness, but because you have irrevocably outgrown the version of yourself that desperately craved her love to feel worthy. She can send you messages. You might respond with impeccable politeness. You might even be kind, but you will not be available. That subtle yet profound distinction cuts her to the bone, because she knows, with a sickening certainty, that you are not ignoring her out of anger. You are simply, utterly indifferent. And that indifference that, my friend, is the terminal stage of true detachment, the one that leaves her forever haunted, wondering if she was ever truly as important as she so arrogantly believed. Finally, your silence transmutes into an enduring legacy. By the time she fully comprehends that your profound silence is no longer a desperate plea directed at her, she begins to experience the exact same agonizing emotions you once endured. She begins to retrace conversations you have long forgotten. She starts pining for the man who never tried to control her, only consistently and genuinely cared for her. And when she finally, truly understands that your silence was not a manipulative tactic, but a pure, unadulterated reflection of your inner peace, that's when the full, crushing weight of her loss finally descends upon her. Because genuine peace is a rare, precious commodity in this chaotic world. And once a woman has experienced the profound privilege of being loved by a man who has mastered it, every other connection, every other fleeting relationship, feels shrill, unstable, and ultimately, temporary. That's the moment she realizes, with gut-wrenching clarity, you didn't go silent to punish her. You went silent to protect the man she once so foolishly took for granted. So, internalize this truth, brother. Your silence does not need to make her miss you. It needs to make you rediscover yourself. Because the moment your silence stops being about her and starts being about you, you reclaim your intrinsic power. You cease chasing peace like a mirage. You become it. And that monumental shift, that internal revolution, changes everything. Because the undeniable truth is, the moment she truly realizes your silence is no longer about her, that's the moment she finally understands. It was never your silence that broke you. It was your hard-won peace that shattered her illusion of control. And that, my friend, is how you unequivocally win. If this message resonated with the deepest parts of your being, if it sparked a flicker of recognition or ignited a fire of transformation within you, then don't let it be just another forgotten video. Hit that like button, subscribe to this channel for more unfiltered truths that will empower you, and share this video with any man who needs to hear this liberating perspective. Your journey to unshakable self-mastery begins right now.